Give them guidelines. They like discipline, and you have to be firm, but only rigid on a few things. Like only have a few rules, but keep them good.
Well, I'm a firm believer of you say what you mean, and you do what you say. So if you're going to tell your child here's going to be your consequence, then you need to go forth with that consequence, because if you even one time deviate from that, your child's going to see how much they can push you every single time. So I'm a firm, you give your warnings or whatever discipline strategy you use, but once you implement it, whatever you say, then that needs to be acted out, or else the child will not learn to trust you and will act out every time and see how far they can push you.
I wish I was more consistent with it. They're pretty good kids, so I don't feel like I've had to be particularly the disciplinarian, but I notice myself saying, stop doing that, and then I don't follow through. That bothers me about me, the way I do it. We don't touch them, we don't spank, I yell and I wish I didn't yell, but that's not even disciplining, that's just the inability to deal with being frustrated.
There's good angels and there's bad angels. And then we have voices in our heads, and they whisper to us what we need to do. And if we listen to the good angels, that means that we're paying attention to God. And if we listen to the bad voices, that means that we're paying attention to the bad angels, the demons. So we need to figure out whose team do we want to be on. So when one of the girls is doing something wrong, I usually say, who's talking to you? Can you tell me who's talking to you right now? Is it the good angels or is it the demons?
I think we should treat them as an adult in that way, as like we don't want people to tell us, you need to do this, you need to do that, you can't do that, because it's like, how would we feel when somebody does it to us? And sometimes with our stress, work, and environment, we tend to do that with kids. We try to tell them, that's it, you do this, you do that, but I find out it doesn't work. You approach them as a friend, you tell them why you don't want them to do this and why this one is better than the other, but the approach has to be friendly. It's not always easy with the lifestyle, with a hectic life and job and everything else, but that approach always worked better.
For us, like, spanking to me was important when they were, like, there's an age, and I don't remember the exact age, if it's like 1.5, 2 or whatever, but there's an age where it's very, very hard to reason with words. And for me, I would choose to spank them, like if they were in danger, like we had a wood stove. So to me, to teach them not to touch that wood stove, to me a spanking was less hurtful than if they would burn themselves. Mm-hmm. So to me, spankings were, if the result of their action would be more hurtful or harmful than a spanking to me was way better.
Right.
But honestly, like, our kids hardly needed any. And you know what, the other thing, it doesn't take long for them to be able to talk and to reason and to negotiate. And so there is a time to me when spanking was kind of the only thing, and their attention span couldn't last a conversation, or
right.
They couldn't reason, and so then it was something instant and they got it right away. But it doesn't take long when they can start communicating, and they can start, let's say if you take away a privilege or if you take away something favorite, and then you make it a choice.
Right.
And if it's their choice, then it's not you who's being bad because they chose it. But I don't know, spanking to me, I totally agree with it, but to me it just seems like there's a very short time when it's needed. Very often when you decide that you want your kid to learn something, or if you need them to obey, if you're just consistent for even just a bit, and if you just can always tell them, you know, right now, well, for example, when you're on the phone, and if you just tell them, and you have to be consistent and you have to do what you're saying. If you get off the phone, you say, I'm on the phone right now, we'll talk about it after, and then you keep talking. And if you just do that for a while, it doesn't take long and it's not an issue. Because you've shown them you're not going to answer that question right now, and you've shown them that that problem won't get solved right now. If you quick solve it and say next time don't do it, well, they're going to do it again.